Good morning. Welcome to Amboy's New Jersey Senior Property Tax Freeze webinar. My name is Tom Borkowski. I'm the Director of Trust here at Amboy Bank. And with me today, who's going to be speaking in a few minutes after I'm finished, is Donna Gupta, who is the Sayreville Market Manager, as well as a reverse mortgage counselor for Amboy Bank. So today's program, we're going to be discussing the form PTR2, which is the second form in the PTR in the Senior Property Tax Freeze program. The PTR2 is a form that you receive in the mail once you have already qualified for the program by filing the form PTR1. So next, I'll talk about just in general what we're going to go over today. We're going to give you a program overview and discuss the qualifications for being in the PTR2 program. We're going to actually go over we're going to discuss how to file the PTR2, and you'll be able to look at a form. And then we'll discuss how you verify the amount of taxes you paid. We'll discuss the next steps and talk to you about what should be included when you actually mail the application. There is an opportunity for you to ask questions. So if you have any questions, this is a Zoom webinar that we're doing today, and you'll have it. If you want to do a chat feature, you can enter in any questions that you have, and we'll address them, at the end. So you can type them in at any time. And I just remember that other people will be able to see your information, your questions. So don't include any personal information. Just make it a general question, but don't include personal information. And then after we're completed here with the Senior Property Tax Freeze Program Review, Donna will go over, Donna Gupta will discuss how seniors can do a benefits checkup to make sure they're getting the benefit of all of the programs, both state and federal, that are available to them. So we can now go to the beginning of the program of the Senior Property Tax Freeze. The PTR2 we're going to cover today. The PTR2 is a form that comes pre-printed to you, and I have to say congratulations. You're only getting this form because you've already qualified by virtue of filing the PTR1. And the PTR1 is a 2-year form where you have to prove your eligibility for the program for 2 years and meet the requirements. Once you then establish your base year by virtue of the PTR1 form, you'll then receive the PTR2. So the Senior Property Tax Freeze is a program that once you establish a base year, so if your base year, if say last year was the first year you filed the PTR1, you establish 2018 as your base year, any increase in your property taxes in later years will be reimbursed to you. You have to pay them up front, but you'll be reimbursed for the difference between your current year's taxes and what your base year amount. The difference could be 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. As your property taxes increase, as long as you maintain eligibility and file this form every year, you'll get a refund for the excess over your base year taxes. So it's a great program that allows our seniors to hopefully stay in New Jersey and not be subject to the increase in property taxes, as long as they meet the income qualifications. So now I'm going to go over next page. We're going to talk about the qualifications for the program. So the PTR, the Senior Property Tax Freeze program, is subject to the state budget every year. And New Jersey is on a fiscal year budget basis. So our fiscal year goes from July 1st until June 30th. Every year in June, you read about the legislators that are trying to set up our budget. And so when they do that each year, they look at how much money they have left, and they determine an income level upon which they can reimburse people for the difference and be eligible for the Senior Property Tax Freeze. So in prior years, say if the income level was $72,000 or $1,000, you might find out that in June 30th, the state only had enough money to reimburse people up to say $60,000. So even though you were eligible to file the form, you didn't get a reimbursement. Last year was the first year that they reimbursed anybody who filed the form, was eligible to file the form, also received the reimbursement. We won't know the answer until June 30th, until the state adopts a budget, but I would expect that there's a general expectation, since they did it last year, that this year, if you qualify, if you meet the number for income, that you'll probably get the reimbursement. So eligibility requirements, there's 4 main requirements. You must meet all 4. You must be 65, number 1, you must be 65 years of age or older, or receiving Social Security disability benefits by December 31st of 2020. And number 2, you must still own and live in the home that you received the senior property tax freeze last year. And you must have paid the full amount of property taxes for 2020 by July 1st of 2021. And then finally, your 2020 income must have been $92,969 or less. So we'll go over those numbers again, but that's the amount of income. So if you meet all 4 of those, you're going to be eligible to file the form and probably get the refund. Just as an aside, you cannot apply for a senior tax freeze on a vacation home or a second. Okay. Now I'm going to go over the actual form itself. So we have up on the screen, you'll see a form which is actually a PTR1. So we don't have a PTR2. And the reason is because this form comes pre-printed to you. All right. You can't go online to get this form. If you haven't received your PTR2 form in the mail by today, which is April 7th, 2021, you can call this number. It's a senior property tax freeze hotline, and it's 1-800-882-6597, and ask them to resend a copy to you. 800-882-6597. We'll put that number up on the screen again later. But because the form is pre-printed, you can't go online and print a copy of the PTR2. You can print a copy of a PTR1, but you can't print a PTR2. All right. And this form must be a paper form that you file, the PTR2. You can't file the PTR2 online. You have to file a PTR2 by paper, as well as the PTR1. Okay, when should you file the form? The file is due by November 1st of 2021 of this year, all right? However, there's some benefits by filing early, to file early. So even though the due date is November 1st, if you file by May 1st of this year, in the next 3 weeks or so, you'll get your check. Checks will be issued July 15th, all right? A couple of weeks after they adopt the budget, assuming they adopt it. If you wait until June 1st to file your PTR2, you won't get the check until September 1st. If you file by September 1st, you won't get the check until November 1st. And if you file by November 1st, the due date, your check won't come out until a month later on December 1st. So there is a benefit to filing early. Okay. So completing the application, the first page, the PTR2 is a 3-page form. The first page, your name and address is going to be pre-printed. It's not going to have your Social Security number because that's private information. So you're going to have to enter your Social Security information. They're not going to send that in the mail in case it were to get lost. That's personal information, right? And then there's basically just 3 questions that you have to answer to qualify for to be able to file the form. Start off with. First of all, you're going to enter your line 1, your marital or civil status. Are you married? Number 2, line 2 is your age and disability. You must be either 65 or over by December 31st of 2020, or receiving Social Security disability benefits. Right? And then number 3 is the residency requirements. You must own and live in the same house that you applied for and received the benefit last year. If you answer yes, then you can continue. If you answer no, then you have to stop and you're not eligible for this form. You're not eligible to apply. Okay. Next, we're going to go over now the income for 2020. All right. And again, the PTR2, you've already qualified in a previous year for the income levels. And so all you have to show the state of New Jersey is that, okay, in 2020, I also meet the requirements for income. And at this point now, you should have a copy of your New Jersey tax return or your federal tax return in front of you, hopefully, or at least the source information, your W-2s and your other information. And you're going to enter in on this form all of the information on your returns. Now, New Jersey, as a general rule, will include all income that you receive from any source whatsoever for this property tax, senior tax freeze rebate program, right? So some things that aren't taxable in New Jersey or for federal are going to be included on this form. For example, on your Social Security benefits, you're going to include the gross amount received, even though, for example, some of your benefit goes towards Medicare premiums and you get a net check, you have to include the gross amount received from Social Security. All of your pension and retirement benefits are going to be included. Salaries and wages, unemployment benefits, you include that, even though they just passed with the last budget, $10,200 is excluded. You have to include all your Social Security benefits received, no matter what the amount. In addition to that, if you receive the supplemental federal stimulus unemployment benefit, you would include that. However, you do not include the stimulus payment. So the separate economic stimulus payment, the $600 or the $1,400 that was just received, those stimulus payments you don't have to include. Disability benefits, interest, whether it's taxable or tax exempt. So even if you have you own New Jersey bonds and you have tax exempt interest for New Jersey, you have to include that on this PTR2 form. And then dividends include those. On the next page, you're going to include capital gains or rental income. If you have and profits from a business or share partnership income, if you have a loss on any of those three lines, either from profits from a business, say you lost money in your business, you only can put a 0 on that line. You can't use a loss in your business to offset other income. So it's either a positive number or 0. You can't enter a negative number. All right. Here's some other examples of income that's included. So for example, inheritances or bequests, death benefits are normally not taxable for either federal or New Jersey purposes. But for the PTR2, you have to include those amounts. All gambling winnings and all other income is included. So we've got some other examples of income that's not included. There's a few. We discussed one of them, the economic stimulus payments that you received. That's not going to be included on this form. Other examples would be the actual senior property tax freeze rebate that you received last year. You don't include that as income. Gains on the sale of a personal residence up to $250,000. We don't include that. Proceeds from a life insurance policy. You don't include that. But also income tax refunds. So I would just say that when you add up all this amount, if the number is, and there it is on your screen, $92,969 or less, then yes, you're eligible. You go to the next page. And no, if not, then you're not eligible and you cannot file this form. Okay. So then we would go to the next page and we were talking about how to prove your property taxes. But before we do that, the first question is, this is the part that's going to be pre-printed. It's going to have your block and lot and your name on here, and then it's going to have last year's taxes. So you're going to enter in the information there and answer all these questions. All right, and then you have two options to prove your property taxes that were paid. You can either use submit copies of canceled checks or the form 1098 that you received from your mortgage company that shows the taxes that you paid out of escrow. You can attach those, or what most people do is complete the form PTR2A. So the PTR2A is a form that you can take down to your local tax assessor, and they will help you fill this out. What they do is they essentially, you can see part 2 there. Part 2 is to be completed by the tax collector. they're gonna enter in the property taxes that you paid, and they're gonna sign it and seal it, and you would submit that. And our experience is that all the local tax collectors are very familiar with this program. You know, they want you to get this money, so they're going to be very accommodating in terms of helping you fill out this form. If you call them up, you know, find out what their hours are. So not all tax collectors are open, you know, every day 9 to 5. So make sure they're open. You go down there and bring in identification, and they'll complete this PTR2A for you, right? And then that's what you'll submit as proof of property taxes paid. Right? You go into that amount right there, and then you enter that amount from line 10 on your on page 3. And that difference between the current year's taxes and what your base year amount, that's the amount of refund that you're going to get. Okay. And mobile homeowners also have an opportunity. This is the senior property tax freeze also applies to mobile homeowners, and mobile homeowners will prove their property taxes. They get a percentage of the site fees that are paid. It's about 18% of the total site fees that are paid. So you would attach a copy of the contract that you entered into with the mobile home park. And then there's a PTR 2B form. We didn't print that up here, but the PTR 2B is the form that you would use to prove payment of mobile home site fee amounts, which is in essence the property taxes. And instead of taking it to the tax collector, you're going to take it to the mobile home park manager, who is familiar, again, should be familiar with this form, and will help you, will enter in what the tax collector would enter, the same information. They're going to enter in how much money that you paid for site fees. Okay, so next steps. Well, we already discussed how you have to file this form by November 1st. It only has to be postmarked. Your tax return has to be received by the deadline. This form just has to be postmarked by November 1st, PTR2. And going forward in every future year, you'll receive a PTR2 in the mail with the pre-printed information on it from the state of New Jersey. Right? And the eligibility requirements are subject to change. You know, the actual final dollar amount, that $92,969, if you're under that, you can file the form. It's not guaranteed you're going to get the rebate or the refund until the state passes their budget in June 30th, by June 30th, and decides how much money they have, whether they can fully fund the program. So some helpful resources for you. So we've been doing this program, for at least 15 or 20 years, and we've been doing these seminars for at least the last couple of years. You can call Amboy Bank. The number is 732-591-8700. That extension 5713 is for Anna Lee Kosar. Anna Lee has been really the point person on this program. She's been doing it longer than me, and she actually, together, Anna Lee and I we will be doing a program later in the year for the PTR1. We did it last year. We'll do it again this year. So that's her extension. You can also go to your local branch. All of our branch managers have expertise, or they've helped people in prior years fill out the PTR1 and the PTR2. And if they don't have any questions, they can ask us. If they have any questions, they can ask us, and we'll step in and help out. Finally, that you can kind of go to the website and get some information from the state of New Jersey. With that New Jersey tax hotline that I mentioned before, which is up on your screen right now, again, that's 1-800-882-6597. We call that number a lot ourselves, and unlike some other numbers, some other state toll-free numbers that never get answered, people answer this phone, and they'll get back to you, or they'll help you answer your questions. They really are very helpful. So, every year, we call them on a regular basis to get detailed questions answered. And no matter how many years we do this program, people come to us with their tax information. There's always a couple of questions that we're not sure, because people have unusual income situations. So don't be afraid. We're glad to help you out. Completing the form, and we'll get your questions answered. So if there's any questions, I think at this point, do we have any questions? I can go over a couple more frequently asked questions. So if you have a question, and you want to type it in, just go right ahead and do that. But I'm going to go ahead and answer or reply to a few frequently asked questions from the website that I think are pretty appropriate. So let's see. So you're going to, the PTR2, you have to get it pre-printed. You have to file a PTR2 paper form to get the refund, and you're going to get a check by mail. You cannot get a direct deposit. They're going to mail you a check, and you're going to have to go and deposit it. Here's another question. My mother died in November. Can I file the application on her behalf for the month she was alive? And the answer is no. The state doesn't prorate the benefit. You have to be alive on the December 31st of 2020 to be eligible for the program. Here's another question. Am I eligible to file if the property I own is owned by a trust? And the answer is yes, you can do that. You must be the beneficiary of the trust, and you must meet all the other requirements of the program. And then you submit a copy of the trust agreement. You know, we've done this before, so some people have these living trusts, and it can work that you can still get into the program. And then here's a common question. I just moved. When can I file for my new property? Well, under the program, you had to be a resident of New Jersey to qualify for the PTR1. You had to be a resident of New Jersey for 10 years, and you had your own your home for 3 years. So if you move, you're not going to be able to file for the program again until the 3 years is up. However, there is a 2-year exception that I'm not going to go over at this time. But if you move, you can give us a call. But in general, you're going to have to wait 3 years to refile and get it back into the program. So that's the PTR2 program. As I said, we will. It applies to people who have already been in the program last year. You've already established a base year. Annalie Colzar and I will probably do later in the year a PTR1 review like we did last year. And at this point, I'd like to turn the program over to Donna Kopka, our Sayreville Market Manager and Reverse Mortgage Counselor, who is going to discuss some senior benefits that are available to you. Make sure you are qualified for them.
Good morning. I'm Donna Kopka with Amboy Bank, Sayreville Market Manager and Reverse Mortgage Counselor with the bank. Today, we're going to be speaking about your benefits checkup. It's a free service offered by the National Council on Aging. It connects you with federal and state programs that can improve your health and economic security. It's a better way to find benefits. What you will do is just answer a few basic questions to find your benefit quickly. It is secure and protected. We will never share any of your personal information, and it's tailored to you. You will find the benefit that best meets your needs and is unique to you. Now, how to get started? Well, the National Council on Aging has a website, and I will be giving you that website information a little bit later in the program. To get started, it's really simple. All you will do is enter your 5-digit zip code. That will then bring you up to your county level. It will ask you a few basic questions to fill out. Who are you completing this for? Is it for yourself, your spouse, your mother, your father, or if someone else, you would just select other. It will ask your gender. It'll ask the year and month that you were born. Including yourself and spouse if married, it's going to ask what is your combined gross monthly income. You don't have to know the exact figure. You will just select one of the boxes shown below. It'll ask your marital status and are you a U.S. veteran? You will just answer yes or no. The next screen will show 12 categories. I often think of it as a Jeopardy game because there are categories and underlying under each category will be your benefits. So in this particular example, I'm going to go with Medicare benefits. I'm sorry, medication benefits. Once I select medication benefits, it is highlighted in blue with a check mark. By seeing that, you can also select other categories if you choose to. My suggestion is never select all because you will be overwhelmed with hundreds of programs and benefits. So keep it simple, maybe check one or two to get started. Underneath your Medicare benefits, the one that I selected there, medication benefits, are 5 underlying benefits. And they are Medicare Part D, which is your prescription drugs, Medicare assistance, state pharmaceutical assistance. Also, you'll have patient assistance and prescription discounts and discount cards. So as you see, there are 5 underlying benefits just by selecting one box. The National Council on Aging will ask you if you would like communication from them. If you choose to do so, you would simply fill out your first and last name, your email address, your mobile cell phone number, and you can say that you would like communication. If you choose not to, simply check the box that says no thanks. So as I mentioned about the 5 underlying program benefits, for that particular benefit, you're going to see that if you choose to get more detailed information, they're going to ask you a little bit more questions to go a little bit more in depth, and they're going to ask you your assets and liabilities, along with more programs that if you choose to, you can just select them as well. It'll be part of your benefits checkup. So something I just want to share with you for a moment, if we go back to the state pharmaceutical program, that one is really a good one because underneath that particular program is something called PAD, which is PAAD, which stands for Pharmaceutical Assistance to the Aged and Disabled. It's a great program. We talk about it all the time during our reverse mortgage councils. It is for those that live in the state of New Jersey, are 65 years of age or older, or if you're disabled between the ages of 18 and 64 and collecting Social Security Disability Type 2 benefits. With this particular program, it is income-based. So if you're single, if your income is $28,769 or less, you may qualify. If you're married, your joint income must be $35,270 or less. The features of this program are that you can purchase your prescription drugs, a generic drug, for as little as $5 copay, or a brand name drug for $7. It's just that these medications must be on the approved list. So as you can see, there are many benefits to choose from. We have a lot of categories for you to search through, and I would recommend that you do so. So for your free benefits checkup, you can call or visit your local Amboy Bank branch. You know, we're always here to help. We're a community bank, and we're happy to do so. So you can visit the website for this particular search is www.benefitscheckup.org. Again, it's www.benefitscheckup.org. I thank you very much for joining us today. On this screen, you'll see some more helpful resources. We have the senior property tax freeze. You would call Annalie with her phone number, the state website, the NJ tax hotline, and for benefits checkup, my name and number is listed there as well as the website. So thanks once again. Until next time, stay safe and be well.